we have encountered all kinds of questions that you can think about when you think of ACCA. Right from what is ACCA to does it really have scope in India? Does it have scope overseas? How many exams? My friend has a father who has a cousin who's working in on the Big Four, and that person has no idea about ACCA. Does that really mean ACCA has no scope in India? Or why should I do ACCA when there is CA? All of these questions are going to be answered in this video today. So before we get into it, guys, please subscribe to this channel. As an education institute, we try to combine education with entertainment by providing case studies from different domains about the business world, so that not only can you go and talk about it to your friends and colleagues, but you also might be able to make a stronger career decision by understanding what really happens in different sectors, different domains, different cases in India. Secondly, we also put out technical videos such as this, where we talk specifically about educational concepts such as the courses like ACCA, CFA, or we might even cover technical aspects of different subjects, like under finance we'll cover certain topics, things like that. So let's get into ACCA. ACCA is Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Think of this as global CA. Now, global CA, global means it's applicable across the world in 180 countries, including India. By CA, I said global CA. CA, I mean if you're a CA and I'm an ACCA, we are both technically at the same position, right? We have the same technical understanding, we go on to the same kind of subjects, we have similar work experience, and even in the industry, we are considered as an equivalent qualification. Of course, as the video goes forward, you'll understand there are differences between CA and ACCA, but yeah, in the industry, they consider the qualifications as equivalent. Now, coming to the syllabus, right? If you are thinking about ACCA, this is the most important section for you. The syllabus of ACCA, it essentially covers 13 exams, 3 papers. This you should ideally be able to complete within 2.5 years on an average, maybe 3, right? There are people who finish it faster, there are people who take 7, 8, 10 years, but on an average, all of our students finish it between 2 to 3 years. That's a decent amount of time to complete all the 13 ACCA papers. Now, what are these papers about? The subjects covered are similar to what is covered in CA. There is accounting, there is costing, financial management, audit, tax. ACCA even has a business paper. Now, some of these papers which are overlapping with our CA have certain differences, right? For example, accounting. In ACCA, we cover something known as Ifrs, International Financial Reporting Standards. As you go out into the finance and accounting world, you understand the importance of this topic, right? ACCA covers IFRS, Indian CA covers Indian accounting standards, and they both are almost 90-95% overlapping. So whether you study ACCA or CA, you get a similar kind of knowledge, right? Subjects such as financial management, costing, audit, they are literally almost the same in CA and ACCA. One difference major will be in taxation, but it's not really that big a deal because in CA, of course, we cover Indian tax. In ACCA, we cover tax of different countries such as UK or something. And we always tell all our students to take UK taxation because Indian tax has been built on the UK tax system, at least conceptually. And B, conceptually, if you study UK tax, you still understand everything that happens under Indian tax, under the Indian tax system, right? So you understand what personal tax is, you understand corporation tax, you understand capital gains. And essentially the percentages and the sections and some obviously conditions, all of those are different. But yeah, you will learn tax conceptually. So that's about the subjects of ACCA. Now, the paper. Okay, it's very important to understand how you finish your entire ACCA, which is equivalent to CA, in literally less than half the time of CA. How do you finish ACCA in 2 to 3 years, right? So, I'm going to split it for you. ACCA has a total of 13 exams, split into 3 levels: knowledge, skill, and professional. Now, the knowledge paper has knowledge level has 3 papers, and these exams are called on-demand exams. On-demand exams essentially mean that, okay, let's say you started studying ACCA and you start with the first paper. The first paper on an average takes you 2 months to complete, right? So let's say you come, you study with us, the whole class is studying. Over 2 months you'll finish the paper. At the end of 2 months, you go through the revision, things like that within 1 to 2 weeks, and you're ready for the exam. Once you're ready for the exam, we are a licensed exam center for the first level. You call us and you say, okay, I want to give the exam. We'll say, okay, we have a slot available Monday, 10 o'clock. You come Monday, 10 o'clock, 10 to 12, sit for the exam. It's pure MCQs, it's computer based. Give the exam on the spot, you'll clear, and you're done. Then you move on to the second paper. That's how the first level, which is the knowledge level, the first 3 papers are like this. Also, in the skill level, the first paper of the skill level, the exam pattern is like this. They're called on-demand exams. So, essentially, first 4 papers of ACCA are called on-demand exams, and you on an average finish the first 4 papers within 6 to 8 months. Right? Now, coming to the second level, skill level, except for the first paper. Under the skill level and the professional level, exams are held across the world every quarter, every March, June, September and December. So every 3 months, exams are held. Now, on an average, we recommend our students to give between 1 to 2 papers per quarter. And that depends on a lot of factors to each individual, right? How much time would you have? How are you working? Are you going to college? For example, college students, right? When BCom exams or BAF exams, any kind of exams are happening, in that quarter they take 1 paper. When exams are not there, they can take 2 papers. And on an average, think about it like this. You should look at finishing around 6 papers in 1 year. Right? So you can take any permutation combination, but as long as you're going on that average, you're at a very good speed. So that's the speed part. Per quarter, okay, students can give up to 4 exams at once. Barely anybody does really 4 exams. There are students who do it and pass. Brilliant, genius people. But we recommend 2 papers is good per quarter if you can maintain it consistently. Any which ways in the whole year, ACCA has a rule that per quarter you can give 4 papers. But in the whole year, you can't give more than 8 exams. So even if you give 4 and 4 in 2 quarters, you can't give any more exams. So might as well spread it out, pass it, focus on 1 or 2 papers, crack the exam perfectly, pass with good marks, right? That's the reason why people finish ACCA so quickly. Also, the passing rate. Now guys, I'm going to cover the entire CA versus ACCA in a different video. But one thing which is so important, why is it that CA takes so long compared to ACCA, is this one reason, guys. ACCA exams do not have the group and aggregate system which CAs have. For those who don't know, if you take the CA exam, right, you take the IPCC level, for example, the final CA level, if I want to give the exam, I ideally cannot give 1 paper at a time. I need to give 4 papers or 1 whole group at a time. And when I give that group, right, I need to clear all the papers in that group. And even if I fail from 4 papers, I fail 1 paper by 1 mark, I might have to give all the 4 papers again. That is the reason that people are it's so difficult to pass CA, because they're supposed to pass all the papers every time you sit for it, and that is genuinely difficult. So the people who pass CA in the first attempt, anyways, hats off to them. Even if you pass after a few attempts, it is still commendable. The only thing is that because of this, the passing rate of CA has dropped, is extremely low, right? Because everyone can't pass all the papers every time they sit for it. In ACCA, this is the brilliance or the biggest flexible advantage that ACCA have, right? Like I said, in 1 quarter, let's say I'm giving 2 papers. A, I should be able to pass 2 because 2 is easier to pass than a whole group. B, even if I don't clear 1 paper, okay, if I fail 1 paper, I'm still done with the one which I cleared. I just need to repeat the one which I failed. That also I can probably add it to with the next paper. So I'm always moving forward. And because of this, the passing rate of ACCA is much higher. On an average, if you take all the papers over the last 10 years, ACCA's approx passing rate is close to 40%. Whereas CA is less than, it's in single digits, like everybody knows, right? This is the biggest difference why people are taking up ACCA, because you get the same kind of subject knowledge, expertise as a CA, but in less than half the time. There are people who are not sure about pursuing CA because it's so long. ACCA is that kind of leeway for them that, okay, I'm not sure, let me do ACCA because I'll finish it quickly. I'll know very soon whether it's my career decision or not. If not, I still have enough time to make a pivot in my life, right? This guy makes ACCA's passing rate, when the 40% passing rate average, global passing rate is the biggest advantage that ACCA has, right? So this is the major understanding that you need to have about ACCA's syllabus. Okay. Now, coming to the next most commonly asked question: do you get a job in India? Okay. Does ACCA have scope in India? So I'm going to break it down. First, I'm going to talk about ACCA scope in India, and then ACCA scope overseas, right? Because it's a global qualification. So, ACCA scope in India, guys. Yes. If you have been surrounded by this ACCA world like I have over the last so many years, you will know that there is ample amount of opportunities for a job in as an ACCA, right? Not only have we placed hundreds of our students in companies such as obviously the Big Four, Deloitte, KPMG, EY, PwC. We have an amazing relationship with Grant Thornton and BDO, which for who don't know, if you know the Big Four, GT is 5, Grant Thornton is 5 and BDO is 6. These 6 big major companies are all open to hiring ACCAs. There are of course more companies as well, such as, there are so many. We have faculties who work in ICICI Securities. We know companies such as Maersk which are hiring. There's just so many companies which we know which are hiring ACCAs. And in all types of profiles, right? So there are people who work in something known as accounting advisory, which is the which I was explaining. If you all remember, I spoke about Ifrs, right? Which is what ACCA teaches. So there are accounting advisory, there is risk advisory, there is statutory audit, internal audit, forensic audit, there's valuation, there's mergers and acquisitions. You think about it. There's international taxation, investment banking. You think about it. And we know people who are working as ACCAs in all of these profiles. One of our faculties is a CFO of a company. One of our faculties, he's worked in Tech Mahindra, they're in KPMG. Now, it's just the amount of people in India, in Bombay, in Delhi, who are getting jobs in these major companies, massive companies, is unlimited, right? And not only our students and faculties, we know so many other ACCAs who worked in major banks, Standard Chartered, UBS. It just goes on and on, right? So these are the profiles. These guys get the same kind of salary package as that of CAs. Now, what people are always confused about this, guys, we have done it over and over again. Companies, employers are not the guys who are in charge of hiring, who are open to hiring more than just CAs and CA equivalents such as ACCA, CPAs, for whatever various reasons they all hire these kind of professional qualifications equal. I'll give you an example. So I'm not going to take their names, right? But there are 2 people. This is a true story, right? They went, one was from HR, and from HR college he had done BFM, and one was a girl from MM who had done BAF. Okay, now the HR student had also studied ACCA. They both graduated, both at the same age, and they went to interview at PwC. Now think about it like this, right? In PwC, they both interviewed under the same person. Now think about it. From this guy, PwC's perspective, these 2 candidates are similar, right? One is HR, one is NM, both are considered equivalent colleges. One is BFM, one is BAF. For them, honestly, BFM, BAF, BMS is all bachelors. They consider them all the same. So similar education background, similar age, everything the same. So he decided to hire both of them. But because the HR student had done ACCA, he got hired at 2 designations above the other student who had done just BAF. Right? It would take her 4 years to reach where he was if he just went on the normal ladder. And the difference between the package was 3x, meaning if, for example, if she got around 2.5 lakh rupees, he got around 7.5 lakh rupees. That, and by the way, that 7.5 lakh is what other CAs would also get. That is the kind of, that is the way that ACCAs are hired. Now, what you need to understand is, guys, whether you're a CA, an MBA, a CFA, an ACCA, look, opportunities are there. You've got to ensure you work hard. to actually get it. You don't get it in your plate unless you really are some incredible topper and everyone wants you, right? You have to work hard for it. So for example, our students, right, when we at Zell, we get openings from these companies, we send our students CVs to all of them at different levels, right? Some students are at knowledge level, some at skill level, some at professional level. Whoever wants to try and either work as a trainee, as an intern, or as a qualified member, we send their CVs to these companies. If these companies like their CVs, right, they call our students for interviews. If the student cracks the interview, then the student gets it. Then the student is now there as an ACCA, which is going to be equal to a CA, whether at the articleship level, or at a qualified level. And then you've got to perform. That's how you grow in the industry. That is the major important thing which you need to understand. You need to work for it, and yes, you get it. We have enough proof to show that there are people at all levels, every single month of every single year, people are getting great jobs, and the ones who are really putting in the effort are getting the kind of dream job that they want, right? So that is the kind of scope that ACCA has in India. Now, coming to the scope of ACCA overseas. Like I said, there are many countries where ACCA is recognized. From the Indian perspective, I've seen most of the students prefer going to countries such as UK, Canada, Australia, Singapore, Dubai. These are more popular countries where we've seen Indians go. Of course, like I said, there's a whole list on the ACCA website where it's applicable, and you get jobs in all these places. Please understand that the economic situation of all these countries, the visa sponsorship, the companies that hire you, all of them will differ. So your pay package and how easy it is to go to these countries will all matter based on where you're planning on going. So there's a different discussion that needs to be had per country that you want to go. But overall, we have students who've gone across the world to these kind of countries after studying ACCA here in Bombay or in India. So that is covering the entire scope of ACCA. Okay, next guys, I want to talk about something known as the PER, which a lot of people have a question about. What is PER? So PER is the practical experience requirement of ACCA. What in the world is this? Okay. When you finish all 13 papers of ACCA, you complete them, you become something known as an ACCA affiliate. When you become an ACCA affiliate and you complete this PER, which I'm going to explain you, then after that combination, you become an ACCA member, which is the real value. So, what is PER? PER has 3 legs. First and the simplest one, which everyone knows, is there is a 3-year training period, the same as articleship. If you're an ACCA, you of course need to show the world that you have your experience also. It's not just passing the exam, you need experience also. 36 months or 3 years, same as CA. The only difference is, in ACCA, for those 3 years, you don't necessarily have to work in a CA firm the way a lot of CAs do. Right? You can work in any company, maybe if it's your dad's company, maybe it's some company you always dreamed of, as long as you work in the finance and accounts department. As long as your work revolves around finance and accounts, it will be counted within these 3 years, right? Again, in CA, you can't shift companies a lot. In ACCA, you can shift. And in ACCA, again, in CA, right, you need to complete this, this articleship between your IBEC Group 1 and your final CA. In ACCA, that difference, the flexibility is higher, right? You can finish your work experience before, during, or after you complete your 13 papers. But as long as you finish 13 papers and this 36 months of experience, it's fine. Separately, together, doesn't matter. We generally recommend at Zell that towards the end of the skill level, you should start working. There are ambitious enough people who can start before also. A lot of people who try and take it easy and want to do it after they finish all 13 papers. Choice is yours, right? It depends on how you want to move ahead. Any which ways, that will depend on each individual, which we can have a discussion with when you actually take up ACCA. It's a different subject. And by the way, I'm comparing so much of CA with ACCA because most people understand CA already, so it's easier to make the comparison, right? So, PER, first step, 36 months of experience. It's not compulsory to do it under a CA or an ACCA, but I would suggest it's better if your senior in these 36 months or 3 years is either a CA or ACCA. Point 1. Second, leg of PER is something known as performance objectives. What are performance objectives? So there are certain performance objectives, there are certain objectives which ACCA wants us to achieve, which are basic, right? It's not that complicated. It's something to do, it'll be things like, okay, your objective is to show, demonstrate leadership, or to demonstrate communication, or if you worked in finance and accounts, right? Demonstrate how you have actually helped draw the financial statements of the company. So I don't remember exactly the technical questions, objectives that they have, but they are on these lines. 99% in your 36 months of work experience, you'll have come up with situations where by default these objectives get covered. It's not that you really need to do these objectives separately. Most of the times it gets covered in your 36 months of work experience. So the second is performance, and for this, right, your senior needs to verify it. And for that, your senior needs to be a CA or an ACCA, which is why I was saying it's better if you have your senior as a CA or ACCA for the first two legs of the PER, your experience sign-off and your objective sign-off. Okay. Coming to the third point, there is something known as an ethics module, okay, which you need to complete. It's called EPS. You need to, it's essentially an ethics module which you need to go through for a few hours. It's not an exam, but you do need to go through it. You do need to answer a few questions, and it teaches us ethics overall, so that we as accounting and finance professionals, we completely not only understand ethics, but we've also demonstrated that how do we remain ethical with situations which we might step the toe onto the other line. This ethics module is honestly not that hard. It's easy. It's in fact very easy. It's just that you need to do it, and you can do it again anytime. You can do it during your studies, after your studies, but that becomes the third leg of your PER. So you finish 36 months of work experience, you complete your performance objectives hopefully within your 36 months of experience, and you complete the ethics module, and you're done with PER. You get done with PER, you get done with your 13 papers, you go from affiliate to an ACCA member. That is what PER, the experience part, is, right? Okay. Lastly, I'm going to talk about, there is something known as, okay, so I'm going to talk about the eligibility, right? Now, first of all, at least I'm talking about from the Indian perspective. Very simple. If you have completed your 12th standard in commerce, okay, all you need is 65%, 65 on 100 in English and accounts. If this is done, you're sorted. A lot of people ask, what about math? Guys, maths is not required for ACCA. So if you got 65 in English and accounts, in the rest of the subjects in your 12th, you need to get 50% plus. Right? So if these two 65 and the everything else you need 50% plus, you are eligible for ACCA. Most people get this easily. Right? Now, that is the easy way. Now, there is one more way that you can be eligible for ACCA through another route. The route I just explained is called the direct ACCA route. There's another way. First of all, why do you need another way? Number one, ACCA allows you to start even after 10th, which means you've not given your 12th, you don't have accounting as a subject sometimes. You may not have scored the requisite 65% or 50% for whatever reason. You may be coming from a science or arts background. We have people who come from science backgrounds, engineers, who want to become engineers but also want to at the side study ACCA. Awesome, but they don't have accounts in their 12th. So what about these students, right? There is another way to study, become eligible for ACCA, right? And that is called the Foundation in Accountancy route, right? FIA, Foundation in Accountancy. So we call it the FIA route. So there are two routes: direct ACCA, which I explained. Second is FIA route. What is FIA route, guys? It means it's okay if you don't have your 12th mark sheet. It's okay if you've not scored the right kind of marks. As long as it's 16 plus, you can give it through FIA. That's it. You don't need anything else. You just need to say, I want to do ACCA, and ACCA allows you to do it. Right? Now, if you're confused about why and all of that, let me clarify. FIA is ACCA's way of telling us that if you don't have any accounting knowledge, don't worry. Before the first paper of ACCA, ACCA has a few papers which are even more basic and optional for those who take the FIA route. See, that's so smart. So if I'm a 10th standard student who just passed and I'm inclined, we have students, around 5% of our students are 10, who just cleared their 10th, right? These guys are super brilliant, super ambitious. But what happens if they can't start the way somebody who's given their 12th boards or 12th exams want to start? So ACCA gives us the option that there is an even more basic accounting, basic papers which these students can give, and they become up to date with these guys. I hope you are understanding, right? So FIA has a total of 4 optional papers which students can give if they don't want to give, if they don't have any background in accounting. But this is the beauty of ACCA, for us at least, right? The first paper of ACCA, not the optional one which I'm talking about, okay, the compulsory one, is anyways easy. Most of our 10th standard students are able to give that first paper. So what they do is they do not take these optional papers. They sign up through FIA, but they do not take the optional papers. They directly start with the first paper that other students who've given their 12th start, and ACCA allows it. So what does all of this mean from eligibility perspective? Basically, whether you sign up to the ACCA route and you get your marks, or you sign up through FIA because you're not eligible through the normal route, doesn't matter. You can both start from the first paper of ACCA as long as you have the willingness and inclination to study for it. That's it. So in a nutshell, if I have to comprise all of this, the eligibility for ACCA is just that you need to be 10th passed. That's it. These are the different ways to do it. It's very technical, but I hope you all have understood the root of it. If any of you are confused, anyways, we are always available for you to ask more in depth. But this is what we had so many people ask us. So I thought I'll just cover the eligibility part, right? And coming to the major question about fees. Okay, guys. So first of all, if you start ACCA from the start, the total cost over the period of 2 to 3 years will be between 3.5 to 4.5 lakhs, approximately. And this 3.5 to 4.5 lakh covers everything under ACCA. It covers the coaching and the training, the exam fees, the registration, there's something known as subscription, study material, everything. Okay, so I'm going to split this 3.5 to 4.5 lakhs for you guys. Think of it as 2 parts, right? Half of it will go into your training. And by the way, for those who don't think you all need training, no problem. Most people do take up training because you might as well take the time advantage of ACCA and clear it first attempt quickly so you can move ahead with your career. So most people prefer taking the training, not compulsory. Coming to the point, yeah. So half of it will go in that. The other half you pay to the ACCA body. And this, what you pay to the ACCA body, is generally in pounds, which is why there is such a range, because if the pound rate fluctuates, it goes up and down. So there is what you pay to the ACCA body is split into 4-5 categories. Number 1, registration. Number 2, exam fees. Exam fees means every time I give an exam, I need to pay the exam fee. So registration on an average is around 8,000 rupees. And please understand, these things change every year. So if you see this video after a while, it might be different. So please understand that part. So registration is right now around 8,000 rupees approx. That's 79 pounds. Exam fees. Exam fees per paper, it ranges from, again, 8,000 rupees per paper all the way to 15, 16, 17,000 rupees per paper. Okay, so it depends on which level you are at, what is the pound rate at that point of time. Then there's something called subscription fees. Now, subscription fees means every time I give an exam, every year that I am a member of the ACCA as a student or as a qualified member, I have to pay membership fees to the ACCA body. Right, so if you're a student, it's around 112 pounds, which is around 11,000 rupees approximately per year. And if you're a member, that more than doubles. So you pay 25,000 per year. But it's like saying that, if I'm a member of a club, right, I need to keep paying that club every year something to keep using the amenities. It's a similar concept. Even CAs, after they become qualified CAs, they pay, but they pay a significantly smaller amount as membership fees. We need to do the same thing for ACCAs. So that is subscription fee. So I said registration, exam fee, subscription. Then there's something known as study material, which is the books. ACCA's books are not coming from the ACCA. Their syllabus has been converted to study material by 2-3 global publishers from where we purchase the study material. And this approximately is again 2,000 to 3,000 per paper. Now, when I combine all of these things which I said, right, it includes everything from the training part to registration, exam fees, subscription, study material, and this whole thing gets covered within 3.5 to 4.5 lakhs over a period of 2 to 3 years. And you don't have to pay it all at once. It's paid paper by paper, level by level. So that's sort of the fee structure. Now, one last thing. If you are if you're a graduate, or if you've partially qualified CA, like you're an IPCC student, or you've completed your final CA, or you've attempted your final CA, it doesn't matter. If after certain qualifications, if you do ACCA, you get exemptions from those 13 papers. So, in that case, your the total fees and the time taken goes down drastically. So I'm just going to give you a quick comparison, right? If you start after 12th or after 10th and you start from the first paper, you should aim at finishing ACCA within 2 to 3 years, and it'll cost you around 3.5 to 4.5 lakhs. Okay. If you are a graduate, means you've done BCom, BBA, BAF, BMS, BFM, anything, if you're qualified, you get the first 4 papers exempted. Please understand, by the way, when I say exempted, there are many criteria, but I'm giving you an approximate average, right? Most of the graduates get 4 papers exempted. You guys should finish ACCA within 1 to 1.5 years, because you'll have only 9 papers to complete. So within 1 to 1.5 years you can, and the total fees for you all will be between 2.5 to 3 lakhs for everything, including the exemption fees and the training and all that. Let's say you're an IPCC student. If you're an IPCC student and a graduate, you get 6 papers exempted, so you have to give only 7 papers. You should also complete ACCA within a year, and for an IPCC graduate and a graduate, IPCC student qualified and a graduate, the total fees will be around 1.5 to 2 lakhs approximately. And if you're a CA, a qualified CA, right, you can get so you get 9 papers out of 13 exempted. So you have to give only 4 papers. You give 4 papers, you can finish ACCA within 6 months approximately, and the total cost to you will be between 1.5 to 2 lakhs, combining everything. So that was just a quick comparison. Of course, if you study different things, you might get different exemptions. There's an exemption calculator by the ACCA body. If you just search on Google ACCA exemption calculator, you'll get it, and you know how many exemptions you're entitled to. What I told you is what majority of the students who come to us, they get exemptions in. So that is the fee structure approximately of ACCA. And if there is, we know that there is a lot of questions on what is the difference between CA and ACCA. So we have another video in which we're comparing CA, ACCA and other qualifications. There is something called OBU, for which we again made another video where people are always asking these questions. So this video essentially was for those who have no idea about ACCA or are confused about certain things. We've covered majority of it in this video. Now, after this, if you still have questions and we don't have the right kind of videos which cover all your questions, please reach out to us. We have an amazing team of ACCA counselors who can help you with all details. You will know whether it's the right path for you or not, and I can guarantee you guys that if you decide to study something, you'll not realize it today, you'll realize it eventually, but at 22, 23, if you're working in one of the major big companies at the CS level, by completing ACCA, your opportunities overseas are open. You can eventually start your own business. We have so many ACCAs who come and teach on weekends. It's another passion which a lot of people would like to explore or follow. There is an unlimited amount of opportunities. People do ACCA, after ACCA they do CFA sometimes. They sometimes go abroad and do MBA. It is unlimited how much you can do. Point is, decide if it's the right course for you, take our guidance if you require, but get started, move ahead, and your career will be on the right path. If there's anything else, please let us know. Thank you so much.